I'm Terry Gilbey. I am the General Manager and the Chief Executive Officer for the Esalen Institute here in Big Sur, California. I came to Esalen in the fall of 2016, actually, as a month-long work scholar student. Ended up working in the kitchen as part of that. And then in, I guess, probably early 2017, February of 2017, Esalen closed due to the landslides, and they were looking for people who were willing to stay for an indeterminate amount of time. And so I stayed on at Esalen, ran the kitchen, and then helped the management team try to figure out how to keep Esalen afloat and stable during the closure. One thing led to another, and here I am in the beginning of 2020, having done almost 2 years, I think, as the general manager and CEO. Before I came to Esalen, I had spent a lot of time in the corporate world and the nonprofit world. I was an executive for a pretty large healthcare company. Before that, I worked for IBM in global services and mainly in technology over the last 20 plus years, I would say. I stepped into the general manager role after working with the management team to actually shepherd Esalen through the closure. I've done some turnaround work in my career, and it was a challenging time. We had to close the doors. We had no income. We were hemorrhaging somewhere north of $1 million a month at the time when we first closed. And Esalen does not have deep pockets. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and at that point in time relied a lot on public support for our revenue stream to meet our ongoing expenses. So it was difficult. We had to let a lot of people go through our layoff. We just couldn't maintain them on property. We didn't have food supplies. We didn't have fuel supplies. And it's unique here at Esalen because not only were we having to let people know that they couldn't work here anymore, but we were also taking away their friends and family, their home in some cases. It was probably one of the most challenging sort of layoff from an organization that I've ever had to do. One of the big challenges kind of post the layoff and during the closure, in fact, is that Esalen was an oral culture. It was a verbal history that had been maintained in the organization. And so a lot of the people who knew where all of the operating instructions were, they had to leave as well. And that presented a lot of challenges. That's one of the things that we've actually really tackled since the closure and the reopening, is beginning to document actually how Esalen operates so it can be preserved in perpetuity. I think one of the most important parts of my role is to ensure that Esalen is here for the next 60 years. We were founded in '62. We're coming up on our 60th birthday in many respects. And one of my legacies will be ensuring that Esalen is here for the next 60, 100 years. I think one of the interesting parts about the last few years is Esalen's own transformation. We've had to make some changes. I think we've done a really good job of honoring the past and pulling through all of those things that actually serve Esalen, the real core of what was set up when Michael and Dick founded Esalen. Amazing notion that we were about the human potentialities. And it's always interesting to me how sometimes organizations that are about potential sometimes struggle with change. So we've done that. We've had some of those struggles internally. A lot of people who have been here for an extremely long amount of time didn't return after the layoffs. They had moved on in their own lives. It was 6 months that we were closed. And so we built a predominantly new staff. There are a lot of people who were here before the closure. There were a lot of people here who are actually with us through the closure, and they're still with us today. But there's a lot of new people, and that honestly is one of the very special parts about Esalen. People come, they spend their time here, whether that be a weekend, a week, a month, multiple years as a member of staff. And then they take a little bit of Esalen with them out into the world. And that's an incredible part of basically our theory of change. which is you come to Esalen, you have that transformational moment, and the power of that is not just in the moment here at Esalen, it's when you take it out into the world and you share it, and you have a positive impact outside in the world somewhere. So that movement of people through Esalen is a very important part of the essence of it. As I think about Esalen in the next decade, I think we've got a couple of things going on that really, a lot of which speak to our past, in fact. We've got an opportunity with this shift in the decade to reach back and find the things that were so special in the formation of Esalen that we need to carry through. We've got a lot of work going on property to upgrade our structures, to upgrade our facilities. It's incredibly important that we address a lot of the mobility issues that occur on the property. You know, one of the things about living in Big Sur is everything is uphill. So a lot of work on elevating the amenities and the facilities on the land itself. We take great care of the land. It's an incredibly important part of Esalen. I think as we look to the future, you know, Esalen's strive to really reconnect with its mission. And as we are starting to look at the next 10 years, maximizing our mission impact is going to be crucial for the organization. I think we can do more here on property to support the people who come to experience their transformation. I think we can do more in the outside world to support them after they leave and support them through that continued journey that they have once they leave property. And I think there is a greater place that we can play in the world to support other organizations that are also engaged in a similar vision and a similar mission. People coming to Esalen have that experience of being at Esalen and that transformational moment that takes place here. Are there other ways for them to have the transformational moments? Sure there are. It doesn't happen just here at Esalen. You can have it online in a chat room. You can have it over a cup of coffee in a cafe. It's really about how do you have that interaction. We still believe that the very best way to do that is to be here at Esalen and connect with people in person, individually, one-on-one, and in small groups. As we go through the next decade, I think we're going to begin to really focus on this notion of heart, mind, body, spirit, and community as the important pieces, as a lens to look at how do you create a balance. I think it's all about balance. And so as was laid out in our vision statement decades ago, it still holds true today. So I think as we look to the future of Esalen, we can look to the past. We had a time when Esalen was actually creating many of the teachers and supporting their growth and their ideation. That many of the teachers that we think of as being founders in their own movements, you've got Gabrielle Roth, you've got Fritz Perls, they came to Esalen and they spent time here. We have a unique place where we can nurture those teachers and those modalities that have not hit the mainstream yet. As I look to the future, this is where we would reinvigorate our residential programs, where we would invite scholars to come, the potential teachers of the future. They may not even be known today. That's the whole point of it. We create a space where they can come, whether they be an artist, a writer, a philosopher, a body worker, a psychologist, just a great thinker, and explore those questions that would not be normally supported in the mainstream, in the academic world, but they have a container here where they can explore that. As I look to the future for Esalen, it is an extremely rich, extremely exciting future. For as long as I can support its mission, for as long as I can contribute to its growth, I am absolutely excited to be here. Yes, we have an amazing group of people. We have an amazing set of students that come through on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. At our staff week, we have a opening circle, a sharing circle. And I remember last year, I sat in that circle and was reflecting around why was I at Esalen? And I came as a work scholar, a month-long program. And as I shared that time, I have worked and learned every day that I've been here. And those are two things I enjoy immensely. So while those two things stay true, I see my future at Esalen, yeah.